Somewhere in Naples tonight, a woman in her 80s is feeding 4 people out of one dented pot, and the entire meal cost her less than $3. She has cooked this dish more times than she could count, and she has never ruined it, not once. But when you make peas and pasta at home, something goes wrong. The peas turn gray, the pasta goes gummy, and the whole thing tastes like the water it drowned in. Her version never does that, and the reason has almost nothing to do with talent. To understand what her hands know, you have to go back to where this dish was born, because pasta e piselli did not come out of a cookbook. It came out of the alleys of Naples, in the era Italians still call cucina povera, the cooking of the poor. Down in those narrow streets, a family might have a few coins for the whole day's food. Meat was for feast days. What they could reach was dried pasta and onion, and whatever green thing was cheap that week. In spring, that meant peas. Here's a detail that tells you everything about that world. Neapolitan shopkeepers sold pasta loose, from big drawers, and at the bottom of every drawer the broken ends piled up. Snapped spaghetti, chipped rigatoni, orphan shells. The story goes that grocers swept those scraps together and sold the mix for a fraction of the price, and Neapolitans gave it a name, munazzaglia, which translates to something close to the rubbish mix. Poor families bought the rubbish. And then they discovered something strange. The mixed shapes cooked unevenly, some soft, some firm, and the dish was better for it. The mistake became the tradition. Who would have guessed, right? But knowing where the dish comes from doesn't explain the part that matters, which is why her pot works and yours doesn't. Because plenty of people have the ingredients. You can walk into any grocery store in America right now and buy everything this dish needs. A pound of dried pasta runs about $1. A bag of frozen peas, maybe $1.25. One yellow onion, call it 40 cents. If you own olive oil and salt, you're standing at roughly $2.70. And that pot will feed 4 adults until they push back from the table. Yes, frozen peas. She would tell you the same thing, because a pea starts losing its sugar the moment it's picked, and frozen peas are frozen within hours of harvest. The fancy fresh ones in the pod have usually been sitting around longer, so the ingredients aren't the problem. The problem is what almost everyone does next, and it's the same mistake in kitchen after kitchen. You boil the pasta in one pot, you cook the peas in another, and at the end you introduce them like strangers at a bus stop. The pasta arrives coated in nothing. The peas arrive exhausted. Whatever liquid is left tastes like a compromise. That 2-pot habit is the entire reason the dish fails, and the old woman in Naples has never done it in her life. Her whole method happens in one pot, start to finish, and once you see why, you can't unsee it. It starts slower than you'd expect. She sets the pot over low heat with a few tablespoons of olive oil and 1 yellow onion, chopped fine, not browned, sweated. The onion goes translucent and sweet over 10 patient minutes, and the smell that comes off it is the smell of half the apartment buildings in southern Italy at noon. If she's feeling rich, a little chopped pancetta melts in alongside it, but the dish doesn't need it, and the $3 version skips it without apology. This stage feels like nothing is happening. That's the point. Rush the onion and it turns bitter, and bitterness at the bottom of the pot flavors every spoonful that follows. Then the peas go in, the whole bag straight from the freezer, with a good pinch of salt. She stirs them through the sweet oil for a minute, and then she does the thing that separates her from you. She pours in water, maybe 4 cups, just enough to make it look like a thin pea soup, and lets it come to a simmer. 10 minutes, no more. The peas soften, and some of them start to break apart at the edges, and the water stops being water. It turns pale green and faintly sweet. She has just made a broth out of the cheapest vegetable in the store, and it cost her nothing but time. And now comes the move the two-pot cooks never make. The dry pasta goes directly into that simmering pea broth, raw. No separate pot of boiling water anywhere in the kitchen. This is where the dish stops being a recipe and starts being chemistry. Dried pasta is wrapped in starch, and in a big pot of boiling water, that starch washes away down the drain. In her pot, it has nowhere to go. As the pasta cooks, every bit of starch it sheds stays in the broth, and starch plus liquid plus stirring produces something that feels like a miracle the first time you watch it. The thin green broth thickens into a glossy cream that clings to every piece of pasta. There is no cream in this pot, and no butter either. The texture people pay $26 for in restaurants is coming from $1 of pasta politely refusing to waste itself. She stirs it the way you'd stir a risotto, not constantly, but often, dragging the spoon along the bottom so nothing sticks. And she watches the liquid, not the clock. This is where I should tell you the exact simmering time, and I can't because she couldn't either. The honest answer is that the pot tells you. When the spoon leaves a trail that holds for a second before flowing back, you're close. When the pasta is 1 minute short of how you like it, you stop, because it will keep drinking broth in the bowl. Now, at this point, you might be thinking that this sounds like more ways to fail, not fewer. A dish with no measurements, no timer, judged entirely by eye. That should be harder for a beginner. It gets better, though, because everything I've described so far is only the setup for the real secret, the one that explains the words never fails, and it's not a technique at all. First, the finish, because the finish matters. Heat off. A fist-sized handful of grated cheese goes in. Pecorino if her family came from one side of the city, Parmesan if the other, and a heavy grind of black pepper. If she has a spare Parmesan rind in the fridge, it went into the broth 20 minutes ago and has been quietly surrendering flavor the whole time. A trick that turns a scrap most people throw away into the deepest note in the pot. She stirs once, puts the lid on, and walks away for 2 full minutes. When she comes back, the pasta has drunk the last of the loose broth. The cheese has melted into the starch, and the whole pot has settled into itself. Lifting that lid is the best moment of the day. Steam, sweet peas, pepper, and the particular smell of cheese meeting hot starch. But here's the actual secret, the reason this dish has survived a century of being cooked by tired people in bad light with no measuring cups. Pasta e piselli cannot be ruined, because every single mistake you can make inside this pot has a repair that costs nothing. Too thick and gluey. Add a splash of hot water and stir, and the gloss comes back in 30 seconds. Too soupy? Simmer 1 more minute with the lid off. Under-seasoned? Salt works until the final moment. Peas gone too soft? They were headed there anyway, and the broken ones are what thicken the broth. The dish was engineered by generations of women who could not afford to throw food away, so that there is no point of no return. Your worst version of it is still dinner. That is what never fails actually means. The recipe forgives you on purpose because it was built by people for whom failure meant hunger. I've made this dish on a stove that only had 2 settings, and it still worked. And when you carry the pot to the table, here's what $3 looks like. Pale green, glossy, steam rising, black pepper freckled across the top. 4 full bowls with seconds left in the pot. The pasta is creamy without cream. The peas are sweet against the salt of the cheese, and the whole thing took about 35 minutes, 10 of which you spent doing nothing but smelling onions. Restaurants in Naples serve this exact dish today, and nobody calls it peasant food anymore. They call it heritage. This is also where people start arguing, so let's have it. Some families swear the dish is dead without pancetta. Some say cheese never touches peas. Some cook an egg into it at the end, and some consider that a crime against both eggs and peas. Every Nonna is certain hers is the only true version, and every one of them is right, which is the most Italian fact in this entire story. I'm curious where your family lands or what your grandmother's unbreakable rule was, because those rules are how dishes like this survive. Put it in the comments. Someone's version deserves to outlive them. Here's what stays with me. We live in the cheapest food era in human history, and somehow dinner became the thing we outsource. The average delivery order runs north of $20 before the tip, and it arrives lukewarm in a bag. Meanwhile, a woman in Naples, working with less money than the delivery fee alone, puts something on the table that her grandchildren will still be craving in 50 years. She isn't better at cooking than you. She just never learned to be afraid of a pot. So the next time you're hovering over a delivery app at 7 p.m., ask yourself what you're actually paying for. If it's the food, $3 is sitting in your pantry right now. If it's something else, that's worth knowing about yourself. Go make the pot once, then come back and tell me it failed, because I don't think you'll be able to. And when you're ready, there's an entire world of these dishes waiting, and the next one, pasta and potatoes, has a secret even stranger than this one.